From haunted train stations to mysterious ghost children to the very fabric of reality being torn apart, there have been lots of theories about the dark side of Brawl Stars. In this video, we're going to be covering the darkest lore in Brawl Stars, and you won't believe how the stories of Chuck, Gus, and Shade connect in the most twisted way imaginable. We're going to answer the one question that's been haunting the community. Did Chuck, the conductor of this phantom train, actually murder our ghost boy Gus? Where do we even begin with Chuck? When this guy rolled onto the scene, something just felt off. You know that feeling? It's not like the goofy chaos of Sam or the energetic vibe of Melody. Chuck brought with him a chilling silence, an unnerving presence that just screamed, "I have seen things." He's the conductor of the ghost station, and that title alone sends shivers down my spine. This isn't the Star Park Express, people. This is something else entirely. And I truly believe, that to understand the tragedy of the ghost station, you have to first understand the tragic maestro himself, Chuck. But his story isn't just one of tragedy. It's a terrifying look into a mind completely shattered by Star Park, and we're just scratching the surface. Let's just start with his official description, because Supercell loves hiding secrets in plain sight. It talks about him being a maestro, a master of symphonies and cacophonies. Right off the bat, the language is intense. He's not just a guy who likes music, he has a deep connection to sound. But it's the word cacophonies that really gets me. A cacophony is a harsh, jarring mixture of sounds. It's noise, it's chaos, it's unpleasant. Why would a brilliant maestro be a master of something so ugly? It's because, in my opinion, the music isn't just in his head. It's a manifestation of his trauma. This is an obsession. It's something his mind is completely and utterly fixated on, a constant soundtrack to his grim reality. This idea is so vital to unlocking his story. And who does that remind you of? Think about it. Another lost soul, forever tied to a singular obsession. That's right, Gus. Gus and his balloons. It seems to be a recurring theme for brawlers who have been chewed up and spit out by the horrors of Star Park. They latch onto one thing, one concept, and it becomes their entire world. For Gus, it was the joyful innocence of a balloon. For Chuck, it's the complex, all-consuming world of sound. This shared trait, this obsessive focus, makes me think they're cut from the same haunted cloth. They are two sides of the same cursed coin, both trapped in a loop of their own trauma. But while their traumas seem similar on the surface, the source of Chuck's obsession is infinitely darker than you can imagine, and it's tied directly to the train itself. Now, let's talk about his appearance, because he is pale, like Mortis-level pale. He has that cold, lifeless skin tone that just screams undead. From the moment I saw him, I immediately thought he belongs in that exclusive club with Mortis, Frank, and Ems. The Undead Trio. Or, I guess, quartet now. Chuck fits the bill perfectly. He's got the top hat just like Mortis, but his is adorned with a train whistle. He has this old-timey, out-of-place vibe that suggests he's from another era, a spirit lingering long after his time. And the most unsettling part? He seems to be fused with his train card. He doesn't just ride in it, he is it. It's a part of his very being, his own personal mobile coffin. This stuff is getting wild already, I know. If you're as mind-blown as I am, do me a huge favor and smash that subscribe button with notifications on so you don't miss the next piece of this insane puzzle. This brings me to the biggest theory surrounding him and Gus. A lot of people jump to the conclusion that Chuck, the creepy train conductor, must have been the one who lured Gus to his doom. That he was the villain who snatched this innocent kid. And while I get where that idea comes from, I have to disagree. I've looked at Chuck's animations, his voice lines, his whole vibe, and I don't see a predator. I see a victim. I see a man who is so trapped in his own world, his own symphony of madness, that he probably doesn't even notice Gus is there. He's conducting an orchestra that only he can hear, on a train that only spirits can see. I truly believe their stories run parallel to each other. They share a space, the ghost station, and a common source of their pain, Star Park. But their paths didn't cross in the way you might think. Chuck isn't the murderer. He's just another ghost haunting the same cursed grounds. I do think, however, that the third member of the trio, Shade, is the key to unlocking what really happened to Gus. Supercell wouldn't complete this trio without giving us the final piece of that heartbreaking puzzle. And trust me, when we get to Shade, you'll see that the truth is so much more shocking than a simple kidnapping. Let's go deeper on this train. This isn't just any train, it's the ghost train. This is a concept straight out of folklore. A phantom locomotive that travels between the world of the living and the dead, unseen by mortal eyes. Chuck's description says he's now a train conductor. The word "now" is doing some heavy lifting there. It implies a transformation. He wasn't always this way. He became this. And what he became is the spectral conductor of a supernatural vehicle. This is backed up by his insane animations. The dude literally distorts his entire body and zips across the map at impossible speeds, vanishing and reappearing in a flash. No human can do that. That's a spirit moving through a different plane of existence. It's the exact same kind of spectral weirdness we see with Gus, who is confirmed to be a ghost. He looks solid, he feels real in the game, but his very nature is supernatural. The ghost train itself is invisible to us. That's why the ghost station environment looks abandoned and derelict. To us, it's a forgotten relic. But to the spirits of Star Park, it's a bustling hub, and Chuck is the one punching their tickets to the afterlife. This is where it gets even darker for me. The theme of physical impairment and immobility in Brawl Stars lore is huge and often overlooked. Think about the child in the investor video, the one we all believe is Gus. He had leg braces on, his movement hindered. In the game, Gus is wearing a bandage on his leg, which represents lasting damage. And now look at Chuck. He is physically attached to the train cart, using it like a wheelchair. If you look closely at his model, he has legs, but we never ever see him use them. He just dangles them there, useless. This strongly suggests he's paralyzed. This connection between Gus's injury and Chuck's paralysis is no accident, and it hints at a shared, horrific event that links all three members of this trio. Okay, I can see the gears turning in your heads. If you're enjoying this lore dive, let me know in the comments, and hey, if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. So let's put all the pieces together. Forget Chuck's brawler description for a second. Just look at him. What do you see? I see a delusional old man trapped in a wheelchair, suffering from complete paralysis. A man who, in his living days, had one dream: to become a world-famous orchestra conductor. He poured his entire life into music, into becoming a maestro. But something happened. A tragic accident. Maybe it was even at Star Park. An accident that shattered his body and his dreams, leaving him paralyzed and broken. In his final moments, or perhaps in the disoriented state after his death, his mind snapped. He couldn't accept the reality that his dream was gone forever. So his spirit created a new reality. In his mind, he's not a paralyzed old man. He is Chuck, the brilliant conductor. The music he hears isn't a hallucination. It's his grand symphony. The wheelchair isn't a symbol of his weakness. It's a magnificent conductor's train, and he's in charge. He has no idea that he has passed on. He thinks he's alive and well, searching for the next beautiful sound, the next perfect note. But in reality, he is unknowingly conducting the ghost train, ferrying the lost souls and monstrous creations of Star Park through the spirit world. He's the star of his own private tragedy, a ghost who refuses to accept his fate, forever conducting a symphony of sorrow. And that, my friends, is infinitely more terrifying than him just being some generic bad guy. Alright, let's talk about Gus. And honestly, no story in Brawl Stars hits me harder than this one. It's the tragedy of a child caught in the gears of the monstrous Star Park machine. When Gus first appeared, we all thought he was just a cute, spooky kid. But the more you dig, the more you realize you're looking at one of the most horrifying backstories in the entire game. His new description might try to muddy the waters a bit, but the evidence, the core of his story, remains the same. Gus is a ghost. Gus is a victim, and Gus is one of the lost children of Star Park. Let's go back to the beginning, the original lore that defined him. His description was chillingly simple. He follows a strange balloon dog, got lost forever, and has been at the abandoned train ride ever since. The finality of ever since is what gets me. It's not a temporary state, it's a permanent condition. He's gone from the world of the living. We all assumed he was captured by Star Park, and I believe that is 100% the case. The balloon dog, his beloved companion Spooky, wasn't a friend. It was bait. It was a trap perfectly designed by the twisted minds at Star Park to lure in an innocent, unsuspecting child. They knew a kid couldn't resist a magical balloon dog, and it worked. But what they did to him after they caught him is where the story goes from sad to truly monstrous. Now, why do I say with such confidence that he's dead? Look at him! His skin is unnaturally pale, just like Chuck's, just like a body that has lost all life. His attacks aren't rocks or potions. He literally throws ghosts. He creates a shield for his allies using his supernatural energy. His entire kit is themed around spirits and the afterlife. This isn't just a stylistic choice, you guys. It's a literal representation of what he is. A spirit, a ghost child forever haunting the place where his life was stolen from him. This is why he fits in with the undead crowd. Remember that old promotional image Brawl Stars posted? It showed Mortis, the freaking Undertaker of Brawl Stars, holding a balloon identical to Gus's. That was not a coincidence. That was foreshadowing. It was Supercell telling us years in advance that this balloon belongs to the world of the dead. Mortis was holding it because Gus is one of his own. They are connected, part of that exclusive club of brawlers who have died and come back as something else. We are going so deep down the rabbit hole here, guys. If you are loving these Brawl Stars theories, show some love and hit subscribe. The connection to the investor video is the smoking gun. It's the undeniable proof. In that creepy corporate propaganda video for Star Park, we see a child in the background. He's standing motionless behind the host, holding a bundle of gray balloons, looking dazed and empty. This child is a dead ringer for Gus. Same approximate age, same size, same general appearance. But the most damning pieces of evidence are the balloons and his leg. The balloons he's holding look exactly like the ones advertised on the old defunct Star Park Biz website. And on that website, the listing for those balloons chillingly states they are filled with original air from Star Park. We see what that original air is at the end of the investor video. Thick, green, hazardous-looking gas spewing from the main Star Park building. They weren't filling those balloons with helium. They were filling them with poison. They were using them for experiments. The true purpose of these experiments and what they were trying to create is a mystery that I believe only Shade can help us solve. The child in the video is clearly wearing a brace on his left leg. Now, look at Gus in the game. He has a bandage wrapped around the exact same leg. This isn't a coincidence. This is a direct link. It shows a history of injury, of severe trauma to that leg. The brace in the video shows he had trouble walking in life, and the bandage in his ghost form shows that the injury, the memory of that pain, carried over with him into death. He is forever marked by the trauma he endured. My theory is that Gus was one of the children being experimented on. The listing for the balloons on the website says never used, yet we can clearly see the child holding them. Why the lie? Because Star Park is covering its tracks. They are trying to erase him, to pretend the experiment never happened, to ghost their own crime. The child Gus was taken. They used him to test the effects of the toxic gas in those balloons. Look closely at the image from the investor video. It almost looks like the balloons are holding him up, that they're attached to his fingers. It's as if he couldn't let go. I believe the gas either killed him directly, or the balloons carried him away to his doom, and he died alone, lost and terrified. He was murdered by a corporation that saw him not as a child, but as a lab rat. And now, his innocent spirit remains, oblivious to the fact that he's even dead. He just thinks he's still playing, still chasing his balloons, forever trapped in a child's game that ended in his own demise. That detail about him crossing his fingers on his left hand, to me, that's the ultimate symbol of a child's hope. He's forever hoping things will be okay, that he'll find his way back home, not realizing that home is a place he can never return to. He wasn't murdered by Chuck. He was a casualty of a much larger, more sinister plot. And the evidence of that plot didn't die with him. It was reborn as something else. Okay, now we arrive at the final stop on this ghost train of theories. We need to talk about Shade. If Chuck is the tragedy of a broken mind and Gus is the tragedy of a stolen childhood, then Shade is the tragedy of what's left behind. Shade is the echo, the fragment, the living embodiment of loss. When this brawler was revealed as the final member of the Ghost Station trio, my mind exploded with possibilities because Shade ties everything, and I mean everything, together. To understand Shade, you have to understand the horrific experiments of Star Park, the fate of Gus, and the very nature of trauma itself. This is where it all comes together. If you've made it this far, you are a true lore master. Make sure you're subscribed. because you are not going to want to miss the theories that come after this. So the first, most pivotal question is, what even is Shade? The in-game description calls it a pile of sentient clothes. And I mean, come on. After everything we've seen in this universe, a sentient cactus brought to life by gems and bullets, for crying out loud, we know it has to be more complex than that. That description feels like a cover-up, a surface-level explanation for something far deeper and more disturbing. What if it's not just a random pile of clothes? What if it's a specific pile of clothes? Clothes belonging to a certain ghost boy who got lost chasing a balloon. That's right. I believe Shade is in some form Gus's clothes. But that just leads to the next question. How did a pile of clothes become a living thing? It can't just be the radioactive gems again. That feels too easy, too convenient. The answer, I believe, is that Shade isn't fully living at all. It's a manifestation, and what it's a manifestation of will change the way you see Gus forever. Let's explore the first major theory, which is my personal favorite. Shade is a figment of Gus's imagination. Gus is a ghost child, all alone in this creepy, abandoned train station. The trauma he endured at Star Park would be enough to shatter anyone's psyche, let alone a little kid's. We know he has an active imagination. His whole lore is based around his balloon companion. What if, in his loneliness and terror, he created a friend? What if he took his own discarded clothes and, in his mind, breathed life into them? Shade becomes his coping mechanism. This is very similar to the movie Coraline, where the protagonist perceives inanimate objects as being alive because of her deep psychological and emotional need for companionship. In reality, Shade might just be a pile of clothes on the floor, but to Gus, it's his friend, his protector, a sentient being that he shares a bond with. Shade is the physical representation of Gus's desperate need for a friend in the afterlife. This is supported by Shade's very being. Its pronouns are it, its, not he, him. This tells us it's not a person. It's an object, a hollow entity without a real identity of its own because its identity is borrowed from Gus. This also ties back to the theme of physical impairment that haunts this trio. Gus has his injured leg, Chuck is paralyzed, and Shade? Shade has no legs. You could argue that's because it's just a sweater and a hat. But they could have easily included a pair of pants to symbolize legs. The sweater moves as if it has arms, after all. The choice to exclude legs is deliberate. Shade's lack of legs is a direct symbolic representation of Gus's own damaged leg and his fractured identity. The symbolism doesn't stop there, though. Every piece of Shade's design tells a part of Gus's tragic story. And what about the single glove Shade wears? It's not just a fashion choice. In real life, people wear gloves to cover up injuries. What if that glove represents Gus's own injured hand? The hand that was attached to the toxic balloons. The hand that led him to his doom. The straitjacket and chain are even more symbolic. They represent the confinement Gus felt at Star Park, a prisoner to their twisted experiments. The key that dangles from the chain isn't a symbol of a physical escape. It's a symbol of his final release. Death. Death was the only way for Gus to break free from the metaphorical chains of Star Park. Shade wears these symbols because it is a product of that trauma. This all leads to the mind-blowing conclusion that Shade is Gus, and Gus is a reflection of Shade. They are two parts of one soul, spiritually separated by trauma. Look at their character models. The hat Shade wears is so similar to Gus's. The color scheme of the straitjacket has hints of Gus's own outfit. They are inextricably linked. Shade is the physical manifestation of Gus's pain and loneliness. But what if we take it a step further? What if Shade is not just a coping mechanism, but something more? Let's go back to the theory of the lost children of Star Park. We have evidence for 5 of them. Jesse, Nita, and Leon, Bonnie, and Gus. But the promotional material hinted at 6. For the longest time, we've wondered who the 6th child could be. What if it's been right in front of us the whole time? What if Shade is the 6th child? But how? Here's the crazy part. What if Gus isn't just one child, but 2 entities? When the trauma of the Star Park experiments hit him, his psyche fractured. It split into 2. On one side, you have Gus, the ghost boy who carries all the pain, the fear, and the memory of what happened. And on the other side, you have Shade, his positive alter ego. Shade is the part of him that embodies the innocence, the joy, and the pure childlike desire to spread love that was lost. Look at Shade's animations. It literally hugs the air, creating sparkles. It's not trying to hurt anyone, it's trying to show affection in a world of violence. It acts like a child who doesn't understand the dangers around it, who just wants to connect. This is the very innocence that got Gus captured in the first place. The balloon was a trap that only worked on a naive, trusting child. Even after death, that part of him lives on in Shade. Shade is the suppressed piece of Gus that desperately wants to reconnect with the world in a pure, loving way. The bright pink sunglasses it wears, they are a stark contrast to its otherwise dull, grim appearance. Pink symbolizes innocence, playfulness, and wonder. Those sunglasses are the last shred of Gus's childlike spirit, his inner light still glowing defiantly in the overwhelming darkness. So, did Chuck murder Gus? Absolutely not. The truth is so much more tragic. Gus was a victim of Star Park, and his spirit was so shattered by the experience that it literally split in two, creating Shade, a living monument to the innocence that was destroyed that day. The ghost station isn't haunted by three separate entities. It's haunted by two and a half, a delusional conductor, a traumatized ghost boy, and the beautiful, innocent piece of his soul that he was forced to leave behind.